adventure halfway around the world with friends all around me, every boy and every girl. I've worked hard and waited so long, and now I'm in it for the win. When I touch down in London, that's when my journey begins. So here I go, I won't look back. The choice is mine to be the best. The time is now to make all these dreams last forever. So here I go, I won't look back. The choice is mine to be the best. The time is now to make all these dreams last forever. Forever BEO. There's so much to do there, I have nothing left to fear. I can't stop thinking about the future, I see my path is so clear. So here I go, I won't look back. The choice is mine to be the best. The time is now to make all these dreams last forever. So here I go, I won't look back. The choice is mine to be the best. The time is now to make all these dreams last forever. Forever BEO.
Welcome everyone. I see more of you joining our session today. And of course, welcome Kamila. Kamila Dolejsi is here with us, sharing her time. And as you all know, Kamila is our academic director. Kamila has been involved in the TESOL industry for about 15 years. She originally trained briefly taught EFL in Canada before moving to Europe, where she has been based for most of her professional life. Kamila has worked as a language teacher, teacher trainer, and methodologist. Kamila started working with Oxford International in 2011 as Director of Studies in one of the OI Summer Centers, and continues to return year after year, so she knows the junior residential programs inside out. She joined the head office team in 2014, and she is now the academic director of EFL UK division for Oxford International. In the most recent years, Kamila has been mainly focused on academic management, material and program development, including the BEO programs and staff continuing professional development and training. So Kamila, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you very much, Melvina, for the warm welcome, and good afternoon from London, everybody, or good morning, I guess, for most of you. It's a great pleasure to be here. I have to say that having seen that video, it made me feel rather nostalgic because it has been a very strange year. In all the years that I have been working with Oxford International, this is the first year that we didn't get to run the Easter program, the BEO, the Masters, and the WE. And we didn't get to run our summer program. So sort of being reminded of the energy these students bring, it really does bring a lot of nostalgia. And I hope that we'll get to welcome them back in 2021 in even more effort and more energy and more excitement. Before we start looking at what's awaiting us in 2021, can I just have a quick show of hands, a visual clap or a raised hand on a screen if there are any of you who have never participated in the WE program before. Just press one of the reaction buttons at the bottom. Doesn't really matter which one, it should be at the bottom of your screen. Very nice, things are starting happening. If you've never participated in the WE program before. A few people, not very many, a lot of returners it seems, which is nice to see. Fantastic, excellent, thank you very much. So without any further ado, what I'll do today, I will talk you very briefly through only the academic aspects of the WE, which doesn't really give the program a full justice because the program is packed with exciting excursions and fantastic on-site activities. And it's really a lot more than what we're going to have a look at today. But unfortunately, we can't fit it all in, but I'll point you in the right direction if you want to find out more. So the World English Experience, or the WE program, is a combined program of competitions, which some of you know, and obviously academic input, sort of elements of learning and lessons as per our standard summer program. For returners, you are seeing the logo of WE, or logo, the design that we've promoted for WE 2020. And so it comes with mixed feelings that I have to announce that we will be running the same guidelines as we presented for 2020. It was a difficult decision to make, but ultimately we decided that this is in the best interest of the students. The new schools potentially joining this year will still have plenty of time to prepare, but because we don't know in what conditions people are going to be preparing or not, we have decided to simply take what we didn't get to do and do it in 2021 with effectively very little or no adaptations. So very briefly, to have a kind of overview of what the competitions on the WE program consist of. This is what the competition structure looks like. So when you arrive to your WE center, typically we have two, so Campus A and Campus B, or Center A and Center B. All the teams will be divided into two competition groups. Typically there is no more than 10 teams per competition group. And then those teams compete against each other. And at the very end, they have a playoff against the winner of the other competition group. So A against B, B against A in both campuses. They compete within their competition group, they compete only in 4 elements. And this year, it's going to be first year where we're kind of launching slightly new, or 2020 would have been the first year, but a slightly new structure, which is very exciting, and we're very proud of it, and we hope that it's going to be a lot more engaging for students, because there is only one element, one competition element that the students actually need to prepare for before coming to the UK. The 4 competition elements are how we see our community, how we see our campus, how we see art, and how we think, which is a mystery challenge. So I'm going to take you briefly through each one of them. How we see our community is the one element of the competition where students will need to prepare prior to arrival. And it is a presentation element. It's a presentation competition where we ask students to kind of look at their community, whether that's a region or part of their city or the whole city. It doesn't really matter how they understand the word community and what they want to come up with in terms of the context, and how this community, again, whether that's a region or a quarter perhaps of a city, how it is unique and how it fits into the kind of bigger puzzle of their entire city or their entire country. So very kind of bringing it back to home. And they need to prepare a short presentation. They can include visual aids if they wish to. And they will be assessed on the organization and potentially visual aids used in the presentation. That doesn't mean that the presentation has to be on a PowerPoint. Very often students bring in local costumes or visual arts and elements that they want to show during the presentation. That's perfectly fine, still visual support. Their presentation skills and participation. By participation, we want all students to be involved equally. So if it's 6 students presenting, it shouldn't really be just one delivering most of the presentation while the other 5 kind of just stand there and perhaps contribute with 1 sentence. And then, of course, accuracy of language, fluency of language, and pronunciation. As I said, the competition task is to look at what makes their city or region or quarter unique and how it fits into the bigger piece of where they come from. Students can use PowerPoint. There are fairly flexible participation rules. We ask students to, well, we ask you to plan accordingly and to allow minimum of 50% of your team need to participate, maximum of 10 students. So if your team is rather large, say 15 students, you can't have all 15 on the stage at the same time. It would be very difficult for the students to divide the content of the presentation equally as well. So that's why the presentation rule is there. There is an assigned time limit, and there's obviously penalties should the time limit be violated. The second competition, and really all the competitions from now on, are competitions for which you don't have to specifically prepare before coming to the UK, because they will very much be ran as projects and as extensions of the lessons in the UK. And the students will actually do them from the beginning to the end while they are here. How we see our campus is a project or a competition element designed to give students opportunity to interact with each other, to learn more about each other, and to then deliver presentation based on the facts that they find and collect. As I said, we do keep it somewhat mysterious. We don't want to give everything away, so I can't tell you sort of the exact parameters of the project. But as I said, it is very much designed to enhance students' communication skills, give them an opportunity to learn from each other and about each other, and then kind of collate the data and present. So you could think about it from a perspective of a survey. But obviously, as I said, the students will be guided through the project step by step, and then the outcome of it is, again, a short presentation on what they have found out, what they have learned, and how it kind of fits into their experience on the week. Again, the specific brief with guidance will be given on site. There will be sort of specifications, including whether they can allow PowerPoint, audio visuals, and so on and so forth. There's clear participation rules, clear time rules, and obviously we do know that students will be sort of preparing and presenting public under quite a bit of pressure since it's unrehearsed and unprepared. So we do allow students to have a certain support throughout the presentation as well. How we see art is also a brand new event that will take place on campus, and it is to a certain extent a mystery theme. So again, there's very little I can actually tell you about it at the moment, but it is obviously what it says a little bit. And so students will be asked to create a piece of artwork. This is where the mystery remains. This is all I'm going to say, but we will give them certain flexibility with given set of materials. And again, this remains mystery, and to a certain extent, it will be a mystery for the students until they unpack their box. Obviously they will get certain specification on the artwork, whether that's a theme or a topic, and then create also a little descriptor of their artwork, and these will be displayed in an open gallery around the campus for everybody to see and everybody to share, and obviously for judges to vote on, but also for you to have a popular vote, for perhaps students to have a popular vote. So again, we're hoping it's a new event that will bring the whole campus together, and that will allow students also to express themselves slightly differently than just through linguistic means. However, as I said, this is at the end of the day a language competition, so we will expect them to provide a short descriptor, much like you would have in a gallery next to a painting, so a little bit perhaps of an explanation or simply a descriptor of what it is and what it represents. No necessity to prepare prior to the arrival. The projects will be assessed in terms of the sort of creative use of material, reflection on the theme, and representation of the theme given. The theme remains a mystery. And this is one of the few events where we're not going to limit the students. So even if you have a large team, 16, 17 students, everybody can pitch in, everybody can participate, everybody can have a go. And then last of the competition elements is the mystery challenge, or how we think, which is truly a mystery challenge. So there's not much I can tell you about it, apart from the fact that, again, we try and aim at something that is a combination of creative thinking, that have a kinesthetic element, but also linguistic challenge. Off the top of my head, I can't think of one, except for the one that we've actually devised for this year, which I can't reveal. So I'll give you an example of a BEO one, which is perhaps a bit more complex linguistically, but in the past, for example, we have had students to build a bridge that has to have certain parameters of height, certain parameters of width, has to support as many Snickers bars as potentially possible, and students had to present also certain elements of sort of reflect on the cooperation and experience that they've had as a teamwork, but also on the elements of the bridge. Why did they decide to choose a certain design? What were the difficulties that they've experienced in working together, and so on and so forth. So obviously we wouldn't ask that level of linguistic element from we students. We know that we students often are sort of in early years of their linguistic development and may not quite be there, but it would be something similar, graded appropriately to the level and the ages. Obviously that is the competition side of things, but the competition side of things is only one element of the WE program. The WE program does have its own academic program, so it is an opportunity for students to improve their English, to practice, and to engage in sort of very unique material. We teach students from our own junior syllabus. We have a long history of devising a junior syllabus which is suited specifically for short courses, with the intention of boosting students' confidence, giving them opportunities to speak a lot, to use the language, and to kind of chisel it out to perfection. We do placement test students on arrival. This is precisely because the syllabus and our lessons very much focus on communicative approach and use of English. So a large component of the placement test is actually an oral test, an oral assessment, or assessment of students' speaking skills. So students, when they arrive, they are asked to sit a placement test, and they are assessed by one of our teachers before they're placed to the most appropriate class for their level and for their ability. We also have what we call Tiger syllabus, which is a very sort of specific and unique learning syllabus, which is aimed at youngest students, so typically students younger than 10, who may need a bit more, let's say, playful approach to learning, who may need a few more breaks. So that's what the Tiger syllabus is aimed at. However, we tend to open Tigers classes only, of course, if there's sufficient amount of students of the same age, so that they kind of also kind of fit together nicely. As I said, students sit a placement test right when they arrive. The English syllabus covers 30 hours, and normally, apart from the Tigers, it is divided into 90-minute lessons. Normally, most of the day, students would have 2 90-minute lessons, either in the morning or in the afternoon. We cover all 6 levels of Common European Framework. We are aligned against Common European Framework, so students could be as low as beginner or as high as advanced, and there is enough material for them to engage with. As I said, it is very unique because normally we get students from all over the world on our programs, from different educational backgrounds, different linguistic backgrounds. So we want to ensure that actually all students are engaged and that they are working with material that is different from what they experience in their everyday classroom back home. So this is not the second New English File or Cutting Edge or Headway. It's a unique syllabus catering to short courses, and hopefully helping students to gain confidence and proficiency in English while they are here. Obviously, it's a lot of information and it's a lot of fun. So we do provide pre-arrival support, whether that's preparation for the actual competition elements, or element, I should say. But also kind of in general, if you have any questions, concerns, obviously there's always BEOworld office, but especially when it comes to the competition side of things, we strongly encourage, and year after year I'm proven wrong, that you go to our website and download the guidelines book. So everything that I have shown you with a lot more detail and sort of bit by bit description is in this book, which is the competition guidelines, and it gives you perfect sort of outline of what happens. It also gives you a sample program. It gives you a bit more information about the syllabus. Unfortunately, at the moment, the guidelines are under a lock. So once your registration and once your participation for 2021 is confirmed with the head office in Mexico City, you will receive a password and you will be able to access these guidelines directly. Meanwhile, what I do want to do, I want to show you, and this is on the same page, and I will show you the page inside. So if you actually, sorry, just give me a second, it's loading. So you should now be able to see what the page looks like. This is what it looks like once you log in. And what I wanted to emphasize, and I wanted to log in with you and show you, is that it all looks very funky, but sometimes it doesn't really show people the right direction where to go and where to look for things. So important bit is to scroll down as far as you can go. If you scroll down a little bit, you will find a video introducing the guidelines in a student's friendly way. So if this is your first time working, or if potentially your team is changing a little bit, because you might have students who were meant to travel last year but will not travel this year, and you actually have to start from scratch anyway, this is a good way, I think, to introduce the guidelines to your students, to potentially also show to the parents in parents meeting. It's kind of a general overview. If you scroll further down, you will find this important button where you can actually download the book that I have shown you in a previous slide. So you can download it. It's a PDF copy. You can print it. You can work on it. You can write your own notes in it, and you have that to work with. And then, this is very important, you want to go further down, which right now looks a little bit sad. But this section, a World English Experience Forum, is a section that typically in about late October becomes a support blog. So every week you can email us, you can ask any questions you have, especially questions related to the academic side of things. And we collate all the questions once a week, and then every Friday We post all the answers and suggestions. We also post practice materials. We post information bulletins that you also get from the head office, but sort of it's all centralized here. And very often, for some reason, people don't seem to know about this, or maybe they don't scroll down enough on the website, on the guidelines pages, and so they don't know it's there, or they forget about it. What I wanted to say is that I wanted to kind of highly emphasize that this is very important, and it is very informative for leaders, and especially if it is your first time, please remember that you're not in it alone. There's all of our staff in Mexico that are there to help you no matter what. And then obviously here in the UK, there's loads of people who are here to support you along the way as well. And speaking of that, if you want to copy this down or take a screenshot or a picture, this is my colleague Diana, who is ultimately, or who will be ultimately, in charge of the WE program for 2021. She will be the one collating all the questions that come on a weekly basis, and also collating student information and distributing any kind of academic stuff. So she is your person to kind of go to if and when needed. But obviously, as I said, there's staff in the Mexican office. There's all of us. So at the end of the day, you could reach out to any one of us. But Diana is your guru for the WE program. See you at 2020? No, but see you at 2021, hopefully. At this point, I would be happy to invite you to ask any questions, or perhaps we can start looking through what has come through the chat and start discussing if there's any kind of specific clarifications that we can provide. Let me have a quick look. There don't seem to be any questions in the chat, so it is entirely up to you if you have anything. I'm going to take it it's either a sign that the presentation was absolutely clear, or some of you might still be asleep. I'm going to hope it was the first element, that the presentation has been clear. Perhaps this is an opportunity then, while you're maybe thinking about questions, to go back to the non-academic aspects of the program a little bit, for those who perhaps have not experienced it before. So all our BEO programs, when we bring students to the UK, we bring them to boarding schools and occasionally university campuses. When we say boarding schools, we really talk about sort of Harry Potter style school environments that just look incredible, but are also very safe for students, because they are in some respects typically kind of enclosed and perhaps a little bit isolated, although isolated may have a negative connotation, which is not necessarily the case. There's also very good equipment. Very often boarding schools have their own swimming pool, gym. Very often there's a cafe or a bookshop, so it's like a small little world of its own, where students can kind of safely run around and do whatever they want. As I said, mostly these are obviously outside of London, but we tend to choose boarding schools which are in a commutable distance. So students do get to experience London. They typically have an extended day in London when they can stay till later in the evening. They often have local excursions as well. So for example, depending on the location of the campus, they may go and see a town or a city nearby. Whether that's, in the past, students have gone to Brighton or other famous places in the UK. They can do half-day excursions or full-day excursions. Obviously, the WE is a very packed program. It is very busy. And I think, if anything, students struggle from fatigue a little bit by the end of it, because the combined effort they have to put into their classes, into their competition elements, into their excursions, and then obviously on-site activities, which range from disco, karaoke nights, dress-up nights, arts and crafts, film nights, book nights, you name it. What we do with on-site
I think
activities.
Camila's connection.
can you hear me? I seem to be connected, but I shall continue then.
Yes, we can hear you well.
So what we tend to do in terms of on-site activities, we tend to give students few options. So there is almost like a library of possibilities that the activities manager will put on for a particular day, and then students go and sign up for what interests them. And these will always differ also across categories. So there may be a few options for sports. There may be a few options for something that's a bit more kind of quieter, and you know, whether that's arts and crafts or movies, so that students actually can kind of have a bit of a respite. There's whole campus activities such as I said, discos or karaoke's or quiz nights, and so there's always a few options. The reason we tend to do it this way is also weather in the UK at Easter is rather unpredictable. So we kind of make the decisions also based on what the weather is actually like, because if it's raining cats and dogs, nobody wants to be outside, and then the activities are adjusted accordingly so that, you know, the poor souls don't have to be there in the rain all afternoon or evening. Last but least, I should say we live in strange times nowadays. We were very hopeful to be running sort of minimal camps at the end of August this year, which didn't happen, but we do now have a plan for what we call COVID compliant campus, CCC, COVID compliant campus, where obviously should these practices still be in need, we will be providing social distancing measures if the government requires us to do so. We will be providing hand gels and sanitizers and additional cleaning and so on and so forth, to ensure that obviously not only kids but also you and staff, that everybody is safe and everybody is enjoying the program as much as they can within the parameters. So there is a plan for this in place already should we need it. We're very much hoping that obviously by Easter 2021 we are going to be in a slightly better position than we are now, and we're all going to enjoy a bit more freedom, hopefully. The good thing is that obviously students, we can adjust the whole plan to ensure student safety, and students are in effectively their own enclosed space and bubble. There's nobody else on campus at the time where your students will be there. And we can choose also whether we're going to run certain excursions or avoid certain places because they may be simply too busy. So there's lots of flexibility on our part that we've learned to work with and work towards, because obviously this is what we do and this is what we want to do, and we want the kids to have fun, and most importantly we want them back. I shall have a quick look at the chat one more time if there's any questions. Are there any precautions for COVID-19 in case there's no vaccine? Yes, so I think I have covered this in the meantime. Yes, there are. And I mean, I have only given a couple of examples that I can think of off the top of my head. I don't think there's necessarily a reason listing anymore, because obviously we will be responding to the situation at the time. It is now September. We're not entirely sure what we're going to be required to do at Easter 21. So, but we are preparing to be ready to have all the precautions in place, because we do, as I said, we were ready to run camps in August. So there are systems in place.
Thank you so much.
Is the campus still Christ Hospital? Somebody's asking. To be fair, so this is, to be fair, I am not 100% sure, but I know that the official announcement on dates and the official release of the guidelines in writing is probably going to be with you early next week. Whether the campuses have been confirmed 100%, I can't tell you at the moment. Because I'm working on the academic side of things. I am not directly involved in negotiating with campuses. So I'm afraid you're going to have to wait for the official memo coming from head office to confirm which campuses are there for the W21. But even if it is not Christ Hospital, as I said, we do work exclusively with boarding schools of the same standard. So if you're eyeing Christ Hospital because of its beauty, then I'm sure you won't be disappointed one way or another.
Thank you so much, Kamila. I think everyone has enjoyed, and as they say here in your comments, everything was very, very complete, pretty complete for everyone. We have a lot of attendees today from different countries. We have from Costa Rica, from Brazil, my home country, Honduras, and we have from Paraguay, and it's very colorful today. And we thank you for sharing all of this information. And I can tell the we is all about fun, and I can't wait. I just need to make it this time to we program, and we have some more teachers from Guatemala, and everybody here is enjoying their time. We thank you so much, and I know we're going to continue this morning with you in our next session. We're going to be talking about the masters, and following that session, we will be talking about BEO guidelines as well. And everyone here is welcome to join. I know you guys are having a great time. All of you teachers are enjoying this session since yesterday. We had so much fun, and thank you, Kamila, for this colorful presentation. And yes, for some of you that are asking, we will be sharing the presentation for you via email. These sessions, as I mentioned at the beginning, are being recorded to be shared with you in our social media, and you will be having more announcements on when will that happen once all the whole event is done. But thank you so much. We'll be seeing each of you later. Kamila, thank you for staying with us. Everyone.
Thank you very much for having me. Everybody stay safe. I'm hoping to see some of you on the master session or the BEO session. And I think as Malvina said, I do think the WE program has always been the one that is a lot of fun. Yes. And I'll leave it at that.
Thank you so much, Kamila. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. I may see you later on in the afternoon. Thank you.
Bye.